If you're listening on podcast, be sure to tune in to our YouTube channel on YouTube at Wild and Weird WV.
Welcome to Wild and Weird Radio, a Wild and Weird West Virginia podcast.
Antarctica, the highest continent on Earth with an elevation averaging 8,200 feet and some mountains reaching over 16,000 feet. It is an inhospitable frozen wasteland. The ice sheets are up to 3 miles thick. It is one of the most remote places in the world and for years has been rumored to be home to some strange secrets. Everything from hollow Earth, secret military bases, and even aliens. But what is the truth? Is there any proof of such claims? In this episode of Wild and Weird Radio, we look at some of the myths and historical records that surround the mysteries of Antarctica.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for joining us again for another weekly installment of Wild and Weird Radio. This week's episode, we have a very, very interesting topic for you guys.
I don't know. Are there bases in Antarctica, Joe? Are there bases in Antarctica, Joe?
I mean, there are. Are there
secret alien bases in Antarctica, Joe?
I don't know about those. But,
well, I guess that's, yeah.
We're tackling Antarctica. So we're going to have some fun. But first,
I think it's aliens.
I mean, that's where I'm at. But first, where do we have anything in the news? Do we have anything worthy?
I don't know. There's all kinds of news. There's all kinds of worthy crap out there. Is pretty much, I mean, worthy is a weird word considering, you know, you have people who are like scrolling through social media and they're just like looking for 30-second blips of information at this point, which is, you know, just,
yeah.
You know, yeah, there's one thing in the news. Did you know that that's kind of coming to an end? That now the people are really trying to more focus on longer content, you know, the stuff like we make. And that even TikTok has started to do 16:9 landscape format.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah. The people, they don't know what's going on, by the way. Like, these people are freaking out. They don't know how to operate in the 16:9 world. It's just absolutely hilarious to watch.
Rotate their camera.
Right.
I know,
Do you know that I actually watched a guy tell how to do that, Brandon? I am not kidding you.
Yeah,
That's
I noticed
how bad we've
recently that TikTok supports that format now.
They're pushing more views that way. Yeah. I did a little test tonight. We're going to see how well it works.
I mean, our world has always been landscape. Always.
Yeah, until all that started. And,
Yeah.
you know, because we shot in 16:9 landscape forever.
Right.
And then,
that's why we have
everything's...
2 eyes, is so we can get that left and right side.
I'm so worried about... No, I'm not. I don't care about humans. Okay, anyway,
Sounds
let's
like
go
we're
to the
gonna
news
start
desk.
putting Wild and Weird Radio over on TikTok at this point.
I know, right?
Or at least the news segment.
Keep watching,
There we go.
because this news segment could be coming to TikTok. Well, here it is. This is the news. And it's news to you, but here we go. This is the Wild and Weird Radio News. Brandon, what do you got?
Well, I think
Brandon.
my favorite thing that came out was that
Okay.
massive Stone Age wall that they found.
Are you talking about the
So
one from the
about-
Baltic Sea?
Yeah, it's about 1 kilometer long, and they think it's
Yes.
roughly about 10,000 years old.
Yes. Yes. There's a
Right in
magical
that time
age.
frame we've been talking about.
There's that magical age again, boys.
It seems to be a reoccurring time frame that we keep bringing up on this show over and over and over and over again.
It really does. And this is in the Baltic. So that's even more interesting to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but these guys found it. How old is this thing, Brandon? Like, do we have an actual date, and how big is it? Like, what's the story? I know that they said something about it's the biggest mega structure by early humans or something of that nature, right?
Yeah, it's almost 1 kilometer long. And the strange thing is that sections of the wall will connect to a huge boulder, and
Right.
it repeats that pattern all the way down there. And they said that the boulders are so big that, as far as they know of, they didn't have the technology to move anything.
As far as they know as. Yeah. Come on, guys. Who do you think moved them? Humans? You know. But yeah, I was waiting on that and just took you too long. But
Well, there's so much that it keeps getting rolled back, and we mentioned this on last week's episode.
Yeah.
The benchmark keeps getting moved further back for civilization, not just for humanity, okay, not just for modern human, but for civilization.
yeah.
It keeps getting pushed back, and I just really wish that somebody would take an honest look at what occurred around that 10,000 to 12,000 year time frame ago.
Well,
Because we can tell there was some sort of catastrophic event. We have all of these megalithic structures that are being found underwater. We have these megalithic sites that are being discovered in the middle of deserts. We have megalithic sites that are showing up in the middle of jungles that have been covered up for eons and predate some of the Mayan and Incan civilizations.
Yeah, that's right.
So when are we going to acknowledge this? Because they talk about it in scientific articles. They talk about it in anthropological articles.
We
but
did
they're
talk
not
about
broadcasting it in with your history books.
But we did talk about it, and now it's been rolled back because we did talk about it. We talked about it from about 2013 all the way up into 2019, as if the Younger Dryas was a real thing that was caused by a possible asteroid impact, multiple asteroid impact on the planet. But then somewhere around 2020, that just kind of they started debunking that for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was because it was too scary, because, Earth is a scary place. Something's always trying to kill us. Let's be real. You can't run from nature. But something happened is what I'm getting at. And you're right. You're 100% right. But what's really interesting about this story, Brandon, is I know I was acting like I hadn't read it, but yeah, I read the whole thing. But they said that they thought this was a wall to hunt. Is that right?
Yeah, they think that they would force a herd of animals into that wall and then force them along the wall
into an ambush. That's a pretty big wall. That's a pretty big undertaking.
Yeah. 971 meters is a long wall to just trap animals with.
Yeah.
Well, you've got to. Okay. My thing about this is, as I'm thinking about that as I'm reading it, I'm like, well, okay. I'm reminding myself of playing like a sim type video game, right? And like deism. I love deism, by the way. But so it's like that.
If we're not sponsored by the game deism,
we could be.
But
we're not. We're not. But say it was like, boom, there's our animals, right? So all the humans are hunting animals on this one tile down here. Okay. They've went so far as to say, well, let's build this giant wall so we can just force all these animals into this one area, and we'll take them and we'll kill them. We'll eat them. They're going to be that's our life source. What happens when the animals aren't there anymore? And you've got this gigantic wall. Did you redo that anywhere else? Did you move and take that technology with you? Have we found any more of these hunter type walls? That's my question.
Sounds like it'd be a lot of effort just to build that for hunting too.
Well, we do know that prehistoric man was dispositioned to run herds off of cliffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, I could see this wall also doubling as a point where they could have people standing on the wall, throwing spears down. That they would run this herd against the wall rather than into it, run it against the wall, force it to run the length of that wall. And you've got people standing on top of it, throwing spears down. That would work. It would make for a quick harvest.
Yeah. But, in the immortal words of Roger Waters, how did they build the wall? How did they build that wall? Like, for real?
The article
How many
says, too,
people?
that
These are hunter-gatherers, okay? That's why I'm asking this question.
Yeah.
These are hunter-gatherers, okay? These aren't Stone Age people, right? Like
Theoretically. Around this time frame, you got to remember, Göbekli Tepe was also in existence.
I was getting there, but
so our history books would tell us that these are
That's what I'm getting at.
hunter-gatherers, nomadic people.
Thank you.
But we have just an overwhelming amount of support now.
Yeah.
There are 13 sites ranging 105
Tepe.
miles in Turkey
Göbekli
that
Tepe.
were a booming metropolis.
Yes.
We only know about Kairon Tepe and we know about Göbekli Tepe, but there
Yes.
are other sites that are yet to be excavated, that have yet to been shown to the world.
Yes.
But we do know these things were here, and these are dating back to 15,000 years ago. So I would shudder to guess that these people were not just hunter-gatherers here.
Same. I'm going to agree with that. And, again, I just find it amazing that if this technology existed for, back that far, that we should see that repeated. But we didn't really see that repeated. Not like that. And if we have, I haven't seen it yet. That doesn't mean it hasn't. It just means that I don't see any evidence of that yet. So, I don't know.
I'd like to see them take LiDAR and run it down there and see what else might be hiding under the soil.
Yeah, it'd be really cool because, there's evidently there's got to be stuff there, right? So, the other thing in the news real quick is apparently this is back in the news again. And it's multiple U.S. military whistleblowers reveal how a disc-shaped UFO intercepted a nuclear missile and disabled it with a laser beam in mid-flight over California. You guys have heard this story before.
Yeah.
It's been out there before. And now it's back in the news again. But this took place in 1964.
60s.
Yeah. And, the one guy, Major Florians, I think he's come forward. He's talked about it now multiple times now on a lot of stuff. He's been on so many things. He's on Ancient Aliens. They were talking about it not too long ago, but he's actually testified about this stuff. And he said that he was told, don't talk about this. But yet, later on he does talk about it. And says that, he's shooting this film and they have this dummy nuke on this thing. Okay. It's not a real nuke. It's a dummy nuke. And then as he's filming this test flight from miles away, this silvery flying saucer, because he said it was dome shaped and then, flattish on the bottom. So your typical flying saucer type flies into the scene, takes position over the moving target, over the rocket, fires lasers at it, and there's a failure or a catastrophic whatever, failure at that point. And then of course, he takes the film and it disappears. But allegedly, old Lou says he's seen that film. Old Lou comes forward and says, yeah, I've seen that film. And now, Grush says that Luis Elizondo also told him that he had seen that film.
Well, I would say that Big Daddy G still has a copy of that film.
Because according to the recent article here, the original was destroyed, Joe.
Yeah, that is what it said.
No way that was destroyed. No way it was destroyed. They even go as far at the bottom as to try to debunk this, which is hilarious, by saying that it was a test with possible chaff of some sort. Why would you do that? You're testing a very expensive rocket. Why would you take the chance of messing up a guidance system? You wouldn't. Not on
right.
No. Not in the Cold War. No, you wouldn't do this. I don't think.
Not with a payload.
Yeah, I mean, even if it was a dummy payload, there's still stuff there that's, very expensive.
Very expensive.
Yeah, I just don't see that happening. And I don't see it happening without them telling them it is going to happen. So,
I can see it going down like, hey, we want you guys to film and monitor this. We're going to use a satellite defense system to try to knock this thing out of the air.
Yeah.
If it works, cool. If not, just don't get hit.
Right.
Like stay off to the sides. Don't get in its way, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
and then that being kind of the basis for your flight pattern that day.
Yeah, man. Just
But I don't see
weird.
them just willy-nilly being like, oh yeah, by the way, we have no idea what that is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, it makes no sense. And so, the theory is that maybe, just maybe, and this is circulated for the past year or so, that we might get to see that film at some point. That's the high hopes. I do not, however, have those hopes. I don't think we'll see that film. I don't think we'll see that footage. But will someone come out who has seen that footage and actually talk about it? I hear old Lou's writing a book and that it's going to be out soon, and you can bet it's going to break Fox. It's going to break the records, dude. It's going to break the records is all it's going to do.
Yeah, I definitely need a copy of that for the library.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's going to definitely just, I think it's going to be amazing. So looking forward to that, and maybe getting some answers, or at least some more pieces of the puzzle, because, you got to read between the lines of Lou.
You do, because he leaves a breadcrumb trail.
Yeah.
Like that's how he
Man
he
knows
talks.
what
He speaks in these weird breadcrumb trails where he'll tell you what he's talking about, but he will purposefully drop nuggets here and there regarding.
Oh, I talked about that in that last episode that I was on, that one podcast back about 2 years ago. You might want to go back and check that out there. That's how he, yeah, exactly. Because he didn't say it all. There's very clever ways to get around those kind of NDAs, by the way. And I think he's a master at it. So let's see what happens. Of course, there are the people who are, he's a disinformation specialist. Hey, everybody is. I mean, I'm sure you guys think we are too, but if only we were getting paid to be disinformation.
Right.
I mean, where do you sign up?
So do we have anything else newsworthy?
We do have something newsworthy. We have something very important newsworthy. Last Thursday, finally, after much teasing and taunting and telling you people it was coming, we didn't lie. We produced, and we had announced the actual workshop, the TNT area Paranormal How Strange Is Workshop.
Not only did we announce it, we sold out.
Yeah, within
we sold out like almost 12 hours after we announced.
Yeah, 12 hours, I think. So, we can't wait to do that. That's going to be a lot of fun. We've got a lot of stuff planned for that. And yeah, we're going to take some video while we're out there. So all you guys you're going to get to see some cool stuff. I promise. You'll get to see some of the tests that we're going to run out there. I'm hoping that a flying saucer comes down and tries to shoot our balloons down, and we get it on film, and the government comes and takes it away from us. I don't know. It could happen. But what you can do is you can go over and grab you one of these cool tees that I made just for the event. Apparently, everybody's going to have these there. I mean, I'm shocked. This is pretty crazy, because a lot of people are getting them, and they're actually going to have them signed. Did you see that? They're going to buy extras.
I did not see that.
Yeah, they're going to buy extras so that they can have everybody at the event sign their tee.
Oh, well, look at that. That's clever.
So we've apparently turned into we're back in the music industry all of a sudden.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Time to hit the road again, right? So what's really cool here is you'll see the first edition there. That is a tie-dye pattern that you can now choose, which is absolutely awesome. Put the links down here in the bottom for you guys who may want to go grab you one of those. If not, it doesn't matter. I mean, we don't make anything off of them. Those are just there for the event and for promotion.
Because in all honesty, like, this is full transparency, I think we make like 27 cents a t-shirt.
No, I make $2.
Oh, it's $2 is what we make on those.
$2. Yeah. So you're making $2 for a shirt that they're selling for like what, 20 something?
Yeah, like $25, something like that.
But catch them on sale. When you catch them on sale, you get them cheaper. On sale. Yeah, you get them cheaper. That's the time to get one. That's the time to get them, and then our earnings are even less. But anyway, the point is, you want to get you one because it is a first, and it's going to be really cool. It's going to be a good time, and you're helping support a really good cause out there, because our thing is basically paratourism, to get these people out, to come out to those areas and to learn some stuff. Yeah, it's not going to fix world hunger. It's not going to fix all the other weird intolerations that are going on in the world. But for one day, people are going to have some fun. They're going to learn some stuff. So I'm excited about that. Brandon, you got anything else in the news? Are we ready? Are we ready to go to Antarctica?
I'm ready to get chilly.
Oh man, here we go.
Fun times, guys. Fun
Yeah.
times. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, without any further ado, we are going to tackle one of the most controversial topics within the paranormal circle, but one of the probably most elusive topics as well within the paranormal circle. That is Antarctica.
I'm excited.
So Antarctica, there's a reason why Antarctica has this bizarre lore to it. You know, we don't go there.
It's far away.
It's far away. It's cold. Nothing can live there really.
It's very cold.
It is inhospitable.
It's 3 miles of ice. It's 3 miles thick.
3 miles thick ice.
Can you imagine 3 miles thick?
And the wind is just nonstop. It's dark most of the time. And it's just one of these places where it is just a frozen wasteland. Now, there's another reason why we don't go there. It's one of the few places on the planet there's never been a war, because there was a treaty that was signed for Antarctica stating that it would only be used for science and studying nature.
No. Science.
Yeah, science.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that the military isn't there.
Well, no, we have military scientists.
Yes, exactly. And I'm so bummed. I signed up for an Antarctica trip. I got all the way up to the point where I was issued my my parka and everything. And then somebody else came in that was, outranked me and had more pull and seniority and said they wanted to go on that trip. So I had to go turn in my Antarctica gear. It's really cool. You get a special patch and a special ribbon for it, and it's something really, really neat. But I got kind of kicked off the ship before it took off.
Wow.
It was a bummer.
That's amazing.
We were basically doing just a supply run to scientists is what it was. But
science.
Yeah.
That's
but I've always been intrigued with it. Haven't you guys?
Yeah. I mean, it's a cool place. Auroras,
Yeah.
It's a place where I think you hear a lot of people say these things like, oh, the final frontier is the ocean. I know you think I was going to say space, but no, that's Kirk. He says that. And then Jean-Luc Picard.
The final lawsuit.
But
the final cease and desist.
But the real final frontier is Antarctica.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, come on, man, that's the old West. Frozen. It's the frozen old West. That's what it is. Except for no one actually settled anything. Really. There's a couple bases here and there, like real ones. But, yeah, man, I mean, it's just it's a wasteland, and it's inhospitable. It's really interesting to me that Antarctica is what it is, considering, like we said, 3 miles, right? 3 miles of ice. It's 90% of the world's ice is in Antarctica.
Well, keep in mind, too, it hasn't always been like that. At one point, it used to be a lush jungle that had lots of wildlife and stuff down there.
That's what they say.
I would say there's probably a lot of fossils down there that we have never seen before.
Oh, I guarantee you. Yes. But, 70% of our world's fresh water actually comes from there, thanks to the, the whole effect, what's it called, Joe? You know that one. I can't think of the word right now.
Greenhouse effect.
Well, that's it. Greenhouse effect. Thank you.
The greenhouse effect.
Greenhouse effect. See, science. But, so anyway, what's interesting to me is, like you just said there, Brandon, it wasn't always like that. It wasn't always 3 miles thick of ice. And if it was actually a jungle at some point, we have to ask ourselves, can't believe I did that again.
It be.
I just keep doing that. It just happens to you. We do have to ask, seriously though, how could that be? How could we have a jungle at the poles.
Well,
Joe?
you do have continental drift. We also have polar shift. There's a
Yeah.
few possibilities that come into play here.
Yeah.
When Pangea was all one giant continent before we started splitting apart, I'm sure that during this continental migration, that the jungles did develop there, and the further south it went, the less the jungles were.
Yeah.
Or depending on where the poles were positioned at the time, the pole, like that could have been a different animal as well. It just, we live on a strange spinning rock that's hurtling through space at like 6 million miles an hour.
Yeah.
It also doesn't travel the same course every time either. It's always slightly different in some way.
Just, Brandon, stop ruining people's ideal of what they think is happening. You're giving them science, and they don't want that. They want underground alien bases.
But could there be?
Well, I mean, it's Antarctica. It's 3 miles. I mean, let's be real. It's ice.
Yeah.
It doesn't, I mean, you know how easy that would be to bore through with
Anything hot?
Yeah.
Speaking of something hot in the Arctic, and one of the main leading reasons behind there being some kind of an alien base, there is a hot spot on Antarctica.
Mhm. That's right.
There is a place where the temperature is just not right.
It's not right. There are tunnels that are 77 degrees Fahrenheit. Of course, science tells us that they are there because of geothermal activity.
Yeah.
Nothing more. So you guys just take the aliens off the chart right now. That is not where the alien bases are. That is not where the portals open up to. That's not where you go if you accidentally dial up your Stargate to the wrong address. I don't guess. I mean, I guess you could. But
You've said too much. Now they're going to do it. They're going to wind up going to the bathroom and teleporting into the Antarctica.
Yeah. Probably.
And then they're going to freeze to death.
Probably.
Saying that if I'm in Miami and I go straight through the earth, I'm not going to go to Antarctica.
Well, if you're in Miami and you drill a hole straight through the earth, where would you be?
Straight?
Yeah. Straight from your perspective, anyway.
That would probably be somewhere like India, is my guess, or in the ocean. You'd be in an ocean or in India somewhere.
Then how would you end up in Antarctica with a wormhole?
Exactly.
Like, I don't get that technology, but okay, that's cool. Anyway,
short long distance travel,
I guess. So, yeah. So anyway, it's been the speculation that there are these bases there ever since, the 40s, ever since the Nazis, the whole thing, right? Hitler was going to build a base there and all this. Well, maybe he was, but the truth of the matter is, Germany went up there and they dropped a bunch of flags. They dropped a bunch of this and that's and tried to claim certain areas.
There was a theory. I can't remember if there was a book or what back then. I vaguely remember this, that some people believe that Atlantis was actually on Antarctica.
No, I remember hearing that. I remember hearing that. Yeah. I do remember hearing that. But yeah, these guys, I mean, they were there from like 38 to 39. Yeah. And
which, and that
claim
is
the area.
And part of that reason is why you see so much of the conspiracy theory around Hitler fleeing to Argentina, because he was already making trips to Antarctica, and Argentina isn't that far.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that he ever made a trip to Antarctica. There's a rumor that he, went up, I guess, to see it or what. I don't know. But the truth of the matter is that there is no evidence. Okay, on the record, there's no evidence of any further German activity in Antarctica during World War II. So it did not happen. So I don't know. I don't know what to say other than that. I'm sure that there is a secret base that was built probably after World War II. That'd be have to where it would go, right? Because
Yeah.
if there wasn't one there during World War II, then you would have to build it after World War II. So
Right.
yeah.
And that would be hard to maintain back then too, because you would constantly have to be doing supply runs for like propane and stuff for them at that time.
No, no, you're 100% right.
Yeah,
But-
you would have to have constant supply runs of propane, like you said. You'd have to have some kind of fuel being brought, which would be easily tracked because, again, you're looking down the coast there of South America, and there's only so many ports, guys, that you can leave from South America and go further south with a large payload, because not every harbor down that way is built for large freighters.
Right.
You would need.
Right. So one of the big conspiracy theories, I guess, if you'd like to call it that pulls everyone in, and you get this from a lot of people, Operation High Jump. Operation High Jump was 1946, 1947, right? And it was one of the largest military operations. And it took place where else but Antarctica.
Yeah.
And it involved 4,700 men, 13 ships, and 33 aircraft. That's a lot. That's a lot of troops. But the main purpose there was to prepare and basically to practice their techniques in a cold weather warfare environment, because they thought at some point, look, we're going to have to go invade Russia. That's what they were thinking.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's pretty cold out there, in Siberia. It ain't warm.
Yeah,
It's
look
not
what
the
happened
tropics.
to Napoleon and to Hitler.
Right. So they thought, we're going to go do some real world training. And so they went up there and did this. And they also built several bases. I'm sure they were for scientific reasons.
They do similar things in Alaska too.
No, they do. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course they do. Yeah. But they did. They went in and they did some, some surveying and whatnot while they were there as well. But there were several missions. There was another one. It was Operation Windmill. That took place right after High Jump. And basically what Windmill did, they took helicopters in this time. They had a lot of helicopters. And they ended up with 70,000 aerial photos of Antarctica is what they ended up with.
Yeah.
It's quite a reconnaissance mission is what that was. But again, you hear these people saying that, during High Jump, there were UFOs involved during High Jump, that there were things seen during High Jump. I mean, this is where it kind of rises that, well, we're in that territory. We're in that inhospitable territory where humans hadn't been before. Now, all of a sudden, here they are. Truthfully, I'll be honest with you. If I am going to build a base on your world, on an inhabited world, and I don't want to be seen, I don't want to be disturbed, I don't want you guys knocking on my front door, I'm going to put it in the most inhospitable place on your planet that I possibly could.
It's true.
So there's one little check for you ancient astronaut theorists and so forth. But right now, I just don't know. I don't know what I think about the some of the assumptions of this, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Well, now some of these, were assumptions, but some of these, how much of, we're going to roll the clock back a little bit. Okay. I want to roll the clock back to Admiral Byrd.
Oh yeah.
Because you cannot talk about Antarctica without really bringing up Admiral Byrd and his expeditions. And then some of the other expeditions that are modern day that have been tied into some of Admiral Byrd's claims. Some of these expeditions, gentlemen like Neil Armstrong have been tied to. These, we can't ignore these because Byrd claimed that he saw pyramids. There were claims of forests and animals that, he'd never seen before and didn't exist on any other continent. So where do we go with that information?
Well, if it came out today, they would be calling it disinformation.
Right, they would. But what did he have to gain in the 20s? It was
Wasn't he trying to write a
1939 to
sci-fi book?
1941.
Yeah, 1939.
Yeah, 1939 to 41.
So, why would you do that? Because you're actually before the Cold War, so you can't go with the normal old
Right.
Cold War excuse. You know, that we're trying to fake out the enemies, so it doesn't fit. And why would an admiral risk his reputation to say that he saw a gigantic opening? Actually flew into it, I believe, right?
Flew
Didn't he
into
fly?
it, yes.
Yeah, he flew into it.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, he says he flew into
And
it.
this isn't just an admiral, okay? This is Medal
Oh,
of
yeah.
Honor recipient, admiral. Like, not just carrying the high rank. He has the most prestigious award that you can be granted beside the Purple Heart, okay?
Yeah.
This is the most prestigious award that you can be given by the federal government, by the U.S. military, is the Medal of Honor.
So why would somebody risk that? The reputation.
It doesn't make any sense, does it?
Mm-mm. It really doesn't. What do you think, Brandon?
Well, he did receive an order to remain silent in
Yes, he
regard
did.
to all that he had learned on behalf of humanity.
Yep, because he originally came out and started talking about this,
Yes.
right? Like freely,
And then he was detained.
and told, shh.
Yes.
There are some mountains out there that do look pyramid-like from what I'm able to look up right now.
Oh, Brandon's staring at the.
Well,
the
you know,
eyes in
that is
space.
another direction, because I wanted to tie the Admiral Byrd stuff directly into this pyramid stuff because of what he saw.
Yeah.
There are strange pyramid shapes. There was one even recently that just this here in the last decade that has appeared, you know, due to ice melt. This new mystery pyramid has appeared. The image left social media users baffled and started debates on whether this supposed pyramid came from. The satellite images of Ellsworth Mountain Range, which lies in the south part of Antarctica, the huge pyramid-shaped mass was spotted. And this was after snowmelt had came and drifted off, you know, because we're the end of the ice age was a few decades ago. We came to the final closure of the ice age. And now we're moving into a warming period with this not being helped by anything. And so we're seeing ice melt off. We're seeing discoveries pulled out of Siberia daily. There was a woolly rhinoceros that was pulled out of Siberia last week, almost in full perfect condition. And then we have ice melting in Antarctica, and it exposed this massive black mountain that is very pyramid shaped. It's almost too clean. You know, like Brandon was saying, there are some mountains that look kind of like pyramids, and yeah, those look kind of like pyramids, but this mountain is like,
The thing that gets me is that, like, it's obviously the tallest mountain in the area. It stands out pretty well. So maybe it's being hit by wind causing erosion from all the sides that make it pyramid shaped. That's the only way I could think of naturally that would cause that. Yeah, it definitely looks like a big pyramid.
it really does.
Well,
It's very strange, and the fact that this object just shows up with ice melt is bizarre. Like, now I'm not saying that, you know, it could not be done by erosion and ice. Okay, I'm not trying to make that kind of assertion. It is possible, but when you look at this, when you set back and you look at the dimensions here, 2 kilometers, perfect squared.
That's pretty
Like,
huge.
it's a
well,
little,
I'll give you one better than that. According to, I think it's the Alien Con, actually. Yeah, their website. They actually said that there's been at least 3 potential pyramids that have been flagged as being possibly man-made, including one with a bird's eye view resemblance to the Great Pyramid of Giza. Remarkably, it also aligns nearly perfectly to the cardinal points north, south, east, and west. I mean, I don't know what to say about that.
it's difficult to look at some of these images and just sloth them away. Now, like I'm 100%. I can look at some of this stuff like the underground bases and be like,
Yeah.
like
Well,
I can.
I've got your coordinates right here on this page, and we'll put those in for you guys, and you guys can take a look at that stuff and figure it out for yourself. But
And I'll put this
make
back
up.
up on the screen again for the viewers who are watching on YouTube. Go ahead and take a look at this. This is an image. The one on the right is your satellite image, zoomed in a little bit. The one on the left is
I mean,
one
that's a pyramid. That's pyramid.
It's a pyramid.
That's pyramid. That's not a that's not a mountain. I mean, it's a mountain, but it looks like a regular pyramid to me. It does not look like that. Doesn't look natural. Is what I'm trying to get at.
It is
stands
one of
out
those
from-
things that is just, it begs for explanation. I'll say that. Does that
Yeah,
make
you normally
sense?
don't get one huge mountain like that without a range or some other sizable mountains being close to it. I mean, when you see a picture of it from on the ground, basically, there's nothing around there that's even close to that height. Like everything else looks pretty flat around there.
Well, you would also suspect that you would have similar formations
Yeah.
that would create near perfect pyramids if it was a natural geologic formation.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's so many things. You've got everything from possible crashed UFOs up there to the giant alien face. You guys remember the giant alien face, right? That was a good one. That was that was a really good one. And that to me, I don't even know how to explain that one to you because that's. Go ahead, find a picture and pop that up there. Pareidolia is what it's labeled as by the debunkers and mostly the skeptics. But man, it sure looks like a giant face. That's all I can say about it. And the dimensions are ridiculous. I mean, things like miles.
Now it does the issue with the face though, for me, is more how much is being influenced by the ice. And I'm gonna throw this image up here, and we'll see if this is the right one. If not, you can edit this out.
No, there's only one I know of.
This is the one that I'm seeing that doesn't look computer generated.
No, that's not it. That's just a rock with a mountain or something.
So you're the other one then. Okay. I'll go grab
it's not computer generated. That's real. That's actually on Google. There's the if you want to do Google Earth, the actual coordinates is right here. Yeah.
Okay, so here's the other one.
Yep, that'd be the one.
Well, with this one particularly, it makes me wonder how much is influenced by the drift.
Yeah. Yeah, what's underneath it? How is it that shape? There's a lot of things that play into this.
Also
And
shadowing.
yeah, exactly. Shadowing. It's interesting because, like we said, this thing it's like 3,500 foot or something. I mean, it's massive. This thing is massive, but it showed up in about 2019 or so. And it just went all over, the internet, of course. Pareidolia? Or is there something there, that's just being kind of covered up by the snow? I don't know. I mean, a lot of people think that it looks kind of like the face on Mars. I think it looks
can
a
kind of see that, but
little different than the Cydonia face. But,
I would be interested to see like a satellite picture from yesterday.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that would tell you how much
So-
the snowdrift is being affected there.
Yeah.
But that pyramid ain't no snowdrift affecting that.
No, that's a pyramid. Which leads us to, really ponder the questions. See, I stopped myself to ponder the questions as to could that actually have, I I guess you said, Brandon, earlier that, we were dealing with a tropical environment at some point. It was possible that it was down more toward the equator, right? Until the poles shifted. Isn't that a possibility? So that's a thing.
Yeah.
What are you staring at? You're staring at something.
Well, one of the things I'm looking at Robert's, one of Bird's statements.
Yes.
And it says that, there comes a time when rationality of men must fade into insignificance, and one must accept the inevitability of the truth.
Man, that
I'm
sounds
not
like
at liberty
Louis.
to disclose the following documentation at this writing.
This
Perhaps
is
it shall
Louis
never see
Elizondo.
the light of public scrutiny, but I must do my duty and record here for all to read one day. In a world of greed and exploitation of mankind, one can no longer suppress that which is truth.
That's Louis Elizondo. I mean, that literally was Louis Elizondo. So is he channeling Bird?
Had to have been.
But I'm not kidding. I mean, when you started reading that, it's like that's exactly what he says.
Yeah. But that was one of Bird's manuscripts. It's actually apparently that is the header for one of his letters, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where he did disclose seeing the pyramids, seeing this hollow earth like opening. And this was all during that operation that the military was running. This was all this was funded and this entire, and the reason he was told to shut up.
I'm just saying, and they built
Tell me
bases
why.
while they're up there. Yeah, you tell me why. That's what I'm saying. It's like, I'm okay with debunking some of this stuff, but that's data.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to debunk the data. The data's right there. You can believe it or not, but that's what we know. We know that he was told to shut up. We know that he went there. He saw stuff, allegedly, started talking about it, told to shut up, and then, they built bases, they built research facilities. That's some of the things that they did. They conducted tests. That's on the record. That's a proof. They did that.
And they're still there today.
Yeah, they are. So what in the world made them do that? And then a couple years later, again, now they go back with windmill, right? So, and this time they take all these helicopters and they take all these photos. What did I say? 70,000 photos or something. That's insane. What were they looking for?
Why would you take 70,000 photos of white landscape?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to throw that one out there. I don't think I've ever heard anybody else frame that question that way. But why would you just go take 70,000 photos of white powder?
Well, I'll
Just
play the
looking for
devil's
something?
advocate and say maybe they did it because it had never been done before, like a full.
And they were
survey of
looking for
Antarctica.
something. Yeah, possible.
But 70,000 photos?
That's a lot of photos, guys.
It's a lot of pictures, guys,
That's
of
a
white
lot.
stuff.
That's a lot of photos.
Like, you're taking pictures of snow. You can't tell me that's all you're doing.
No.
Like, you only need a couple big group photos and then some solo shots of everybody. Like, that would be, like, it's an insane amount of photos of
I was
nothing.
reading some articles too, trying to find out exactly when it froze over, and nobody knows for certain. So I guess no one's actually taken a core sample to try to determine that.
And
some stuff will say like 30 million years ago. Some stuff will say 60 million. Some think it might just be around the beginning of the last major ice age. So to me, what I'm thinking is, remember last year how it came out that Neanderthals could build canoes? Who's to say that they didn't advance rapidly from that? Maybe when it was warmer down there, had less ice, was more accessible. Maybe someone went down there and tried to start something.
Possible.
It's not very far from the tip of
and
Argentina.
If you look at some of these maps, even like antique maps, right? And not even antique, like some of these are ancient. Some of these are like from the mid 1500s. Antarctica is not white on the map.
Yeah. Was it Marco Polo that had a perfect map of Antarctica?
Oh, let me see who the first one was.
It was one of those explorers that had one, and no one has ever offered a really good explanation for how he actually got that information. They say he got it from hearsay, but but that is way too accurate just to be from hearsay. It's actually been on Ancient Aliens before. Ron probably
That
knows
would
what I'm
be
talking about.
Gerardus Mercator. He was the cartographer that created the first complete world map. And what's crazy about his world map is that half of South America doesn't exist, and he has green territory, which is like, plain land kind of stuff, all the way around the parameter of Antarctica on his map.
Mm.
So the question comes, what's going on? Because if you question this stuff a lot of the times publicly, people look at you like you're crazy. This is one of those topics today that if you start asking this question too openly, people are like, nah, we're not going to invite Joe to the next picnic. It's like, he's a little out there. He thinks there's weird stuff in Antarctica.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out myself, to be honest with you. I mean, I've heard some other stories here and there, but I don't know. I honestly don't know. But let's go back to some support for Bird. According to Linda Moulton Howe in 2015, she received a call from a Navy officer, didn't want his name mentioned. And he says, he works at McMurdo base up there. He claimed that he worked there from 1983 to 1997. And he had seen all kinds of weird stuff. They had seen squads of UFOs over the area. They had encountered, I guess, these incidents to where their instrumentation on their planes would mess up. They were flying over these areas that were just messing everything up. And he says that at one point he saw a giant opening in, below him. And once he landed and I guess told everybody what he had seen, they were ordered not to go near it, not to go over it, because that's where I guess they were having their flight issues, that something was
it messed
interfering with it.
Instrumentation.
Yeah. So what is that? I mean, I don't know. I don't understand it, just because there's too many little things here that are very strange to me.
Is that the same guy who told her that he saw a UFO being escorted by American jets?
I don't know if that's the same one or not, bud.
I think I remember someone talking to her about that, saying that they saw it and they were told to never talk about it. And of course they did eventually.
Of course.
Well, now there have been photos of alleged UFOs over Antarctic bases.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There is a blurry photo, go figure.
Yeah.
Of a sphere-shaped UFO hovering over top of one of the stations down there, one of the scientific stations.
Mm-hmm.
It's down there at the new Mayer station.
There's just so much stuff. I mean, there really is. Everything from, you've got Bird's first 1928 expedition all the way up to, Operation High Jump. And then you got this story that comes out. It's just like, and then you see pyramids. I don't know. I don't know what to think about this. I used to think that was all just a bunch of, conspiracy theories and, there's nothing to it. But I'll tell you guys, it seems to me something's going on in Antarctica. I don't know what.
I used to think I had about as much credibility as the Giant's Door story. But the more you look into it, like those pictures of that pyramid, I forgot about those, but when those came out, I was just like mind blown, because
yeah,
to me they don't look natural, and we won't really know until we go in there and actually look at it and see if it's made out of chisel block or not.
Which we're probably not going to do. Let's
if they do, we won't know about it.
Yeah, exactly. They probably already did it. So
unless they did it, and that's where they found some of these, reverse engineerable craft.
Well, there are the stories of, the secret, whatever ancient bases, not human, but that
Bob Lazar referenced them. They've been referenced by Lou Elizondo. They've been referenced as well by David Grush.
So here's something that would blow my mind if it ever came out. So we know that North America and South America had mounds all over it, along with those pyramid-like structures that they were building. So what if the snow melts a little bit more and we start finding mounds around that pyramid?
Well, I think we'll find pyramids. You know, you're talking about like mounds around the pyramid itself. Typically, what you found was like pyramidal structures around the pyramid.
Yeah.
They didn't even do mounds. They just pyramids. I don't know why we went to mounds after the pyramids, which is kind of weird to me. You would think that it would be the other way around.
Unless the mounds actually predate the pyramids. And
Well,
there's
that's
no way to really date them.
Good point. We've already been over that, haven't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point. That's right.
Because some of the oldest artifacts that are in these mounds are made of coal. And guess what?
Well,
You can't
maybe-
carbon date.
Maybe maybe the mounds really used to be earthen pyramids, but because they're made out of earth, they just dissolved over time and turned
Could
into
be.
a big lump.
They could have been ziggurat style pyramids.
Yeah, because we know that happened out in the Middle East. The Egyptians tried clay pyramids too for a while at first. They turned out the same way. They just look like a big lump of melted earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you got me what's going on with this whole thing, but again, you know, yeah. Aliens. It's all aliens.
So okay, since we're here, we're gonna go into the part of the show where we speculate. Okay.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Hollow Earth.
Mm.
Oh.
I'm gonna tell you right now, flat Earth, and everybody who is a flat Earth person
just
that watches
you
the
lost
show,
all them, right?
I'm sorry.
I'll tell you what. As
I
far
do
as that
love
goes,
you.
yeah, exactly. I have friends
But,
who are
like,
flat earthers, but I don't have to.
The
be
Hollow
the-
Earth, though, this seems way
That's
more
different.
plausible.
Especially when you're dealing with not so much hollow, but a hollow area, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
not even really hot, like you said. Not necessarily like it's a Earth within an Earth, but just like an area that is like
no.
walled off, protected, basically has its own biosphere. And
We've got 3 miles of ice.
yeah,
There's 3 miles of ice. I mean, there could be entire cities underneath three miles of ice for all we know.
I don't think it's too out of possibility because we have evidence of there's in Thailand there's a dormant volcano that has a dome that caved in. It has its own habitat inside of there.
See,
Yeah, that's right.
Animals
That's what I'm
that
getting
live
at.
inside of that
there are
hole.
species that are only found in that caldera.
Yeah, this is what I'm getting at. So, what if there was something like that, and maybe that's what he, I don't know, somehow flew into, or
Some
you
kind
know,
of strange biome.
yeah. And there's the other option. What if he actually flew through some kind of weird portal, like for real?
He could
not
have.
kidding.
He could have
Not even
gone through
kidding.
some kind of weird portal and wound up back on Pangea.
It's
Right.
possible that where Antarctica's sitting on one of the poles currently, that maybe there is some weird magnetic effect going on there that could open something like that.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not, you know.
Maybe that's what messes with their instrumentation too while they're down there.
Well, if something messes with the instrumentation, that's a fact. And that's been documented multiple times at this point. One of the theories is, not theories, but one of the conspiracy theories is that, you can't fly over Antarctica. It's illegal to fly over Antarctica. It's not true. You can totally do it.
You
but
can.
You have to remember, you're going to have to be in a good plane. You're gonna
And
be
you
in
have to
real
have a
good
lot of
plane.
fuel.
You're going to have a
Talk about
whole lot of
hundreds of
fuel.
miles with nowhere to land.
Yeah, exactly, Brandon. There's not like if there's an incident, you're done. That's all there is to it. I mean, it is the highest landmass that's out there. That's the thing you have to remember. And I forget the exact height, but yeah, it's ridiculously
It's
high.
also not easy to land on snow either.
You're not going
You're probably
to.
going to crash if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
the highest point in Antarctica is 8,202 feet.
above
that's-
sea level.
That's above sea level.
That's pretty high. So you're going to have something that can get you up about 10,000 feet at the bare minimum. Then is what you're telling me,
Yep.
right?
Like commercial height.
Yeah. Commercial height. So what goes up to that? Some of your big lifters. But you're not going to get a little Cessna to go up there and
Right.
putter around in.
You're not
You're
going to
freeze to
fly
death.
fly across the Antarctic in a paperclip with wings.
No, it's not going to happen. You're going to freeze to death. If you get one of those
Yep.
updrafts, you're done. And So you can do it, but do it at your own peril.
There's also some nasty crosswinds down there too.
That's what I'm saying.
and
You don't.
They have storms that will just brew up out of nowhere down there too.
Boy.
They're gonna be doing a lot of blind flying.
Yeah, there's gonna be some. Yeah. So I don't know. My whole thing is that there is a possibility that there is something there. Is it a secret government base? It's a good place to put one. It's a real good place to put one, but you're going to need supplies. So you're going to need a lot of supplies. How are they going to get you the supplies without, a bunch of other people seeing you get those supplies? Because first of all, you're not allowed to have a base. So why is it there, right? Why is it a military base? That's a treaty breaker, right? Until what, 2041 or something? And there's something
like that. Yeah. It's
yeah.
about 20 some years off, probably going to get renewed and pushed back more.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's all these countries that have claims, to the land itself, like little sections of it. It's cut up like a pie. But I don't think that there's an actual base there. Not one of ours anyway. I'll go there. I'll just say that. I don't think it's one of our bases.
Well, if you're wanting to hide from humans, that's a great place to hide.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. Sounds a little weird, but that's what I'm thinking.
To me, though, if I was an alien, I wouldn't be hiding on land because that would be too accessible for humans.
I'm leaning more. I know, weird, but I'm leaning more to these ancient astronaut theorists at this point. There's something there.
There's something there, but is it even ancient astronaut affiliated? Is it?
I don't know.
Could it be? I don't know.
Ancient culture?
Ancient culture?
Who's to say it's the same thing to me? I mean,
But
if we're talking about an ancient, we're talking about how many thousands of years, guys?
Oh, it'd probably be around 12,500 years old is my guess.
That's just off the top of your head, right?
Just off the top of my head. I'm pulling it out.
12,577 years, but that's just off the top of my head. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm getting at, though. Could that be?
Here's my question. We probably, with our technology we have nowadays, we probably wouldn't even have to dig to find this stuff.
You could hit that thing with LiDAR from high altitude and call it a day.
I don't know. 3 miles. That's a heck of a LiDAR.
Well, yeah, you're right. I forgot about some of those 3 miles deep sections. Yeah, that's problematic.
Yeah.
There, but I'm thinking along the coast, because the coast is probably where a lot of these places would land, and they'd be like, I'm going to build here because that's what.
You know what?
Pretty much.
Look, I've got the solution, everybody. Y'all just go ahead, go get that old Aquanet from back in the day. Just buy every bottle of it we can, and just start spraying it into the air.
Mm-hmm.
And we will speed up global warming.
Yeah, melt the whole thing.
We can melt the ice, and then we can get to the bottom of what's in Antarctica.
It seems to me that I'm going to make some people happy right now. It seems to me that one of the primary research goals when they were working on HARP was for a ground penetrating radar type use for this thing that could go miles into the ground, if I remember correctly.
Well,
it's only in Alaska. That's in Gakuna, Alaska. So you bounce that around. I mean, I'm just saying.
I mean, if you needed to go a couple miles and that's all you needed, there you go. That's probably why they needed to only go a couple miles.
And if you only need to go a couple miles, I mean, something to think about. But they could have found what you're talking about, Brandon's what I'm getting at. I mean, it could have been found a long time ago.
Yeah,
and I'm going to start a new conspiracy theory right now.
What's that going to be?
The whole reason the global warming has been this big climate push on global emissions and cutting global emissions is because they're trying to prevent the ice from melting so that these things don't get out and eradicate humanity.
That's what it is.
That's the truth. Anybody who wants to make a movie off that, like 50%, that's all I ask.
Yeah, that's good, man.
I want to bring up another conspiracy theory.
What's that?
So people are terrified that with the way that the ice is melting, that there is an old virus that is frozen down there that will come unthawed like the thing and will start taking over the world.
And did
Some
you ever
people
see
actually, that was a big one when COVID happened.
Did you ever
It
see
was,
the
yeah.
movie? That series was the Last Ship.
Yes, that's it.
Oh, I
That's what that was
loved it.
about.
That was the whole theory. What you're
Yeah,
talking about.
Yep.
Remember that X-Files episode? It was like season 1.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That was a great
Yeah.
episode.
You know, there is a definite possibility of that, and I don't think people really realize that because, you know, 3 miles thick is going to protect you.
Yeah.
That's going to protect you. If there's something down there, it's down there pretty far, right?
Well, it's insulated, yeah.
Well, it's insulated, yeah. And as it comes closer and gets unthawed, you mean genie's out of the bottle at that point, boys. I don't
Right.
know. There might be more than just pyramids down there. I don't know.
It very well could be. You know, it's a real mystery
it.
what's underneath all that ice. And
I really like it. I mean, I think this is a cool one. I want to go back in at some point in the future and actually do a really, really, really good deep dive into it. It kind of got me thinking because this is a theory. This is something I don't really look at. I don't typically when something's just too weird. I know it's weird, but I don't really invest a lot of time in that subject. It's like, okay, well, if you guys want to believe that, that's cool. But I'm over here. I'm watching this because I've got a lot of data over here. And then when I see this, I'm like, wait, there are data sets. There are data points.
Yeah, there's data.
There's
this
data.
Antarctica has been one of my favorite things to kind of play with here and there.
Well, you
just
know,
because of what's actually out there that you can read that comes from credible sources.
And, you know, I guess I'll say this. Another reason to downplay Antarctica, if you were a fan of Stargate, you know that's where the base was for Atlantis, right? The one that would jump them to Atlantis. So it was already into the science fiction mythos at that point, and it just kind of discredited it a little bit. But man, maybe that was the reason they discredited it.
What part of Stargate discredited anything?
Nothing. It's all become a documentary at this point, and that's kind of terrifying to me at this point because it's like, well, you just said again, yeah, Stargate was a
the
a
Gould is who built the pyramids in Antarctica.
Probably.
So there was Stargate, Star Trek, and X-Files. All 3 of those.
Yeah, that is history in a nutshell.
If you put them together, that's all you need to know.
Yeah.
I think that's really all you need to know to navigate the waters at this point. Star Trek, yeah, a little bit of X-Files, and you throw in some Stargate, you're pretty good set. Yeah. Maybe just a little dabble of Battlestar Galactica mythos in there, and you got the whole human race story probably right there. So I'm just saying, it's, you know, except for
we're starting a cult.
No, I didn't say anything
so
like that.
So what do you think, Brandon? Where are you at? Where do you sit with this stuff? Because like I know, I'll say mine later. Go ahead, Brandon.
I will say there definitely is something down there. I don't know. I don't believe the alien-based stuff, but Hitler himself was fascinated with it, and so was Himmler. One of his top generals. He was fascinated with that area. Of course, he was fascinated with all sorts of other mythology, like Antarctica, the Spear of Destiny, the Chalice, and whatnot.
They were nuts, dude.
They were okay. So part of it was they were very much trying to prove the Aryan BS that they believed in, but they were also very much into occult beliefs, and they actually believed, you know, these objects and these places held magic power and whatnot. They were trying to harness that for their own use. Himmler was so deluded that he believed he could do that somehow. How, I don't know. I don't think that's ever.
Well, he was an occultist.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
But yeah, there is truth to a lot of that. And the more you dive into it, the more you start going, I think that people might have been there before.
Yeah, I think what you just said. I think people have been there before. And I think that there's a piece of our history that is buried under 3 miles thick of ice at this point. That's what I think. And I do believe it is pretty pertinent to humanity. That's kind of where I'm going with it. I'm not saying it's aliens. I'm saying that, you know, like Joe McGonigal says, we are the aliens. So maybe that's where our proof lies. Maybe that's where we originated. I don't know. Maybe it was the first base.
The Ice Age began about 2.5 million years ago. That's not too drastically far back in human history. We were around at that point.
But it's far enough to erase the tracks.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, according to Hopi legend, that's exactly what happened, by the way.
Well, for me, I really would love to do another episode where we go into some of these expeditions. We can maybe even call it Expedition Antarctica. And we can look at these trips because there's too much that has gone on surrounding Antarctica for there not to be something really, really, really bizarre. That's just my take on it. I'm trying to, normally I'm tend to lean a little bit more skeptical on a lot of topics, a lot of subject matter, and a lot of theories, etc. But when you have generations worth of mythos around an area and literally zero answers about it, you've piqued my interest. And that's where I sit with Antarctica. Ron, what do you think?
I think it's a strange place, and that it deserves a little bit of a spotlight to be shined on it. Again, wasn't my cup of tea, but I can see taking bigger gulps of this, and I'm going to pretty much label this as our Antarctica primer, and we are going to hit this topic again, and we're going to hit it pretty hard. I think it may play into Fallen Worlds a lot, is what I think.
It could.
I was going to suggest that.
I think it falls into that could possibly fall into that category a lot. I like the idea that we're dealing with something that may actually prove pole shifting. That's a real thing, kids, by the way.
Yes, happens a lot.
That's something, you're sitting around worried about, the sun going supernova. No, the pole's going to shift before that happens.
Yep.
And you're probably going to be here when that happens. Like you, maybe not, but some form of us will probably be here at some point when that happens. And we better learn how to deal with that again, because that's happened before. And that's how you turn something, say, like South America into a 3-mile thick frozen wasteland.
Yeah.
So we don't necessarily need asteroid impacts. We just need a pole reversal.
Yeah, pole reversal will mess up everything.
That could do it. And if that's the case, if that did happen, if there were, an advanced civilization here at one point, those ruins could be buried underneath 3 miles of ice. And that's why I want to go back at this.
Well, guys, if you haven't figured it out, we're going to be doing another Antarctic episode. So hang on to your seats, because that one is going to be a blast. I'll put my money on it. And to catch some of you guys up to speed on your localities, because we've been going back into that, and I think it's been working, because we have seen an uptick over here with some of our cities who we know you're listening. So we've got in countries, number one is obviously United States, because that's where we're based. Obviously, most of our listeners are here, followed by the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, Jamaica. You're slacking. You fell back to 6th spot. But guess who's at number 5? Ireland.
What?
Ladies and gentlemen, Ireland is number 5 this week. Thank you. Yes, Ireland. We're with you. We dig it. Thank you. That's cool. If you're listening to us and you're from Ireland, shoot us an email at wildandweirdwv@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Share some of your stories, or if you would like to come on the show yourself from Ireland and share some of your folklore, some of your stories, and maybe even some of your encounters, we'd love to have you on.
That would be fantastic. Did you say whiskey?
I mean, basically.
I thought that's what you said. No. But no,
Especially
some of the...
I will break out the Tillamore Dew.
Some of the Irish encounters would be absolutely awesome to hear from actual, the culture
I'd love
itself.
to hear a face story from someone in Ireland.
Right?
All right.
So there's your challenge, Ireland.
And now moving over to our city locations. Columbus, Ohio is number 1 this week. Thank you guys out in Columbus, Ohio for listening.
They were number 1 last time.
New York is followed up by number 2. Huntington, West Virginia is number 3. Number 4 is Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And number 5 is Charlotte, North Carolina. Charlotte, North Carolina, we thank you. You guys are awesome.
All right.
Followed up by Atlanta, Georgia, Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Uh-oh.
Albuquerque. Somebody's listening from Dulce.
Uh-oh. That's those bass people, man.
Yep. You guys out in Albuquerque, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
So, Gateshead, in Gateshead, England, you guys are the number 8 spot listening into Wild
All
Radio.
right.
Thank you.
England.
But
Yep.
you guys are awesome. Thank you guys for listening week in, week out. And don't forget, if you're listening to us over on the audio side, jump over to YouTube. Check out some of the content we put up over there. Every week, the show goes up live at 8 p.m. Eastern. That means we are live. It is a show that is completely driven by
Thursday.
By the guests. Yeah, every Thursday. Every Thursday, 8 p.m. We have an absolute blast. Everybody shows up. We've got a great community that comes out and supports the show, gets involved in the show, and we look forward to it. It's the highlight of our week. Then Friday is when each weekly episode gets dropped over on YouTube. And remember, if you're listening, there's some of the content like these pictures of the pyramids that I put up that you won't be able to see otherwise. You'd have to click a link and go look it up yourself, which you can do. That's fine. But go over to YouTube, check it out. We put up all kinds of content over there, and check us out on TikTok and X and Instagram. It's all under Wild and Weird WV at all those places. And then you've got Brandon Writes Horror. That's your thing on X, right?
Yeah.
Or is it Horror Brandon?
Horror Brandon on X, and then
Horror Brandon on X. And then over on Instagram, I'm Skinwalker Sculpts. Ron is Lanham Ron. And then on TikTok, Ron is the Mothman Artist, and I'm Wild and Weird Joe. So if you want to follow us and keep up with us on all of our social media accounts, go for it. Well, everybody, thank you all for tuning in. Remember, if you've had a sighting or an experience that you would like to share with us, head on over to wildandweirdwv.com. Click the Report a Sighting tab, and you'll be able to fill out the questionnaire, and it'll report it over to us. If you want to continue to support Wild and Weird Radio, all you got to do is like and share. Help us out. Tell some friends. Tell your family. And it's free to do. It's the easiest thing that you guys can do to help us on your end. And we greatly appreciate it. And we see it week in and week out because we grow on both sides of this show weekly. And for that, we thank you. So remember, if you're ever on a trip south, really, really, really far south, and you get the chance to see Antarctica, take pictures of the pyramids and tell no one. Stay wild and weird, everybody.
Tell us. We're good. Tell us.